So I wanted to share some data with you from about audiences. When you think about what we've just heard, we've started the most important place, obviously, with the medical implications, the medical data that we need in order to think about the other implications for our operations, for singers, ensembles, and audiences. So since we are mostly doing what we do with our singing in order to perform, I thought I would start with audiences. So the data I'm sharing with you is from a very influential voice in the conversation about how arts and culture entities are going to recover, come back into operations after the COVID crisis. And her name is Colleen Dillenschneider. So Colleen is the Chief Market Engagement Officer for a research and predictive technology company called Impact Research. And her website has a great name. It's called Know Your Own Bone, with a big shout out to Henry David Thoreau. And she generously shares Impact's market research and behavioral economics data that has some relevance to nonprofits and performing arts organizations. And the way they gather the data is through a variety of ongoing studies, including a major national study that's been going on for a while, plus constant monitoring of about 224 cultural entities, everything from botanical gardens and museums to symphony orchestras, to look at audience behaviors. So since the COVID crisis hit about 8 weeks ago, I know it's been longer, but they've been doing this research for about 8 weeks. They've been collecting data on audiences' intent to return to cultural institutions. And the most recent update to this work, it was May 4th. And in that report that she put on her website, Know Your Own Bone, you won't be able to forget that name. She has also, the data is sliced and diced by regions, which I think is important because of everyone on the call today, on the webinar today, the regions are responding differently. And so I think that could be particularly useful. Experts tell us that intent to visit is among the best available metric for reliably predicting audience behavior. And it answers questions like, if we build it, will they come? When we reopen, will people come back? When do people think they'll come back? And how is the current environment impacting future plans? And how's that changing as our nation's response is changing? And so here's what they've found. The good news is that, especially by this May 4th update, it's getting more and more clear that our visitors to cultural institutions, our audiences, are now thinking, they've stopped thinking if things reopen, and now they're going to when, and they are actually starting to make their plans. And so there's been a notable increase in intention to visit a cultural or performance entity within 1 month. And in the 3-month measurement is actually very similar to 2019. So that's really a very, very good news for us, I think. However, the findings do show that people may be inclined to visit different types of institutions, that the distribution is changed. And this is very important for groups like choruses to consider as they're trying to figure out future performances. This slide, it's a little bit dense. I'll just explain it very briefly. I just wanted to show you Colleen and her company's work in terms of the types of organizations that they sampled. So the numbers here at the end, I'm not going to go into great detail. 50, a number of 50 means that the intent to visit that institution is the same as it was before the COVID crisis, that the person responding said, yeah, I have no change. If it's above 50, it means they're more likely to attend than they would have been before COVID hit. And if it's under 50, they're less likely. So more likely for good reasons, I think, would be outdoor activities. And that is what the data is showing, is that people are much more comfortable, obviously, returning to things that would be outdoors and less likely to be comfortable way down here at the bottom, movie theaters and performing arts, where they are enclosed in a space. So this is not surprising. And also any museums where they are supposed to interact and touch things. So it shows that also what they're saying is that people will have expectations that operations have changed to recognize the new environment we're in. So the question they had asked was, without operational changes to prioritize safety, 1 in 4 people feel comfortable attending exhibit-based institutions, and 1 in 7 feel comfortable attending performance-based. So the next question then is, what would make people feel safe? So they did this survey question as well, and found that these were the top considerations for feeling safer to return to a performance or exhibit entity. So the dark blue is performance as compared to exhibit-based entity in light blue. So this, the demand for the availability of the coronavirus vaccine is higher for those considering returning to a performance. The other things I thought was interesting on this slide was obviously hand sanitizer. We better all invest in that. And then the no significant changes necessary, I feel comfortable. The blue line is significantly less than the light blue line. So I think our audiences and what they've concluded is that they will want to know and see change to feel comfortable returning to performance spaces. So here are things that we can control. I'm not saying should, because I think the decision tree here to incorporate some of the mitigations that the doctors have shared with us that are so interesting, they're also quite resource intensive. So this is not a should, but this is what can we control? The ability to be outside, absolutely. Hand sanitizer, make those back alley deals for your hand sanitizer. Avoiding long lines trying to get into venues. On-site health monitoring, that certainly was one that would make people feel more comfortable.